Sourdough works brilliantly for most breads that usually use yeast. One great way to use sourdough is in your pizzas. The slower fermentation times give your dough an amazingly light and chewy texture and that distinctive sourdough tang. When making pizza this week, I used a simple 1-2-3 method to calculate the amount of starter required. 1 measure of starter, 2 measures of water, 3 measures of flour. As with my no-knead sourdough recipe, linked above, this is a very hands-off dough to make. You can mix it with a food processor or stand mixer, but thanks to the long fermentation, the gluten will form without much mechanical help. Simply roughly mix the dough into a shaggy ball, then cover and leave to waterlise for an hour. After this rest, the dough just needs folding a few times over the course of its 3 to 4 hour bulk fermentation. For the first few folds, just focus on stretching and shaping it into a rough ball by pulling the sides into the centre, then flipping the dough over. After that, I pull the dough across the base of the bowl, tucking my fingers underneath. This tightens it into a round shape. The second and third sets of folds are much simpler. I start by lifting the dough and allowing the ends to fold underneath before returning to the tuck and pull technique to tighten the shape. This recipe makes 2 10 to 12 inch pizzas. At this stage you can split the dough into 2 equal pieces and then shape them into balls. First stretch and fold the edges into the centre, then turn the dough over and tighten the ball by rolling it under your hand, gently pressing down as you pull it around the board. Generously flour the balls and place them into an oiled Tupperware to rest in the fridge for 24 hours. The purists would say that all you need for the sauce is a tin of San Marzano tomatoes, mixed with some raw garlic and perhaps some salt. If you can get hold of San Marzanos, I wouldn't disagree, but with more generic tin tomatoes, I like to gently fry the garlic in some olive oil first, before simmering and reducing the tomatoes a little. These tin tomatoes tend to be a little acidic, so softening the garlic really helps, as does adding a pinch of sugar if you think they need it. The key is to taste and make adjustments as you see necessary. An hour before you want to make the pizzas, preheat your oven and pizza stone or heavy bottom pan. You want them as hot as you can make them before adding the pizza. Use the closest shelf to the grill. The key to successfully shaping the pizzas is to have everything prepared in advance. Keep all surfaces and your hands well dusted with flour, and adding a little bit of cornmeal or polenta helps to prevent the dough from sticking. Work directly onto your pizza peel or the board that you're using to transfer the pizza to the oven. Start by working the dough into a circle by pressing out the dough from the centre, maintaining a thicker crust. Once a rough circle is formed, it's time to flip the dough onto the back of your hands, avoiding your fingertips, too prone to poking holes. then work it around letting gravity stretch the dough. A lot of recipes advise against using fresh mozzarella on pizzas at home, because it gives off a lot of water and the heat of your oven isn't sufficient to evaporate it. However, I prefer the fresh, milkier taste of fresh mozzarella, and I counteract this wateriness by patting it dry first. Adding a little parmesan over the top helps add colour to the pizza and gives it that slightly cheesier taste that you can get from the drier mozzarella formulated specifically for pizzas. The dough is then slid off the peel or board onto the hot stone or pan. Once the crust has risen and the cheese is melted after about 5 minutes, I turn the oven to grill and cook for a further 4 to 5 minutes until the dough has started to develop black spots and the toppings are fully melted. All that's left to do is to add a couple of basil leaves. For another great way to use up sourdough starter, check out my sourdough pancakes video linked here. Once again, thanks for watching, tune in next week for another video, and feed your starter.